Time to head over to the west now and have a chat to Bob Peters because we get to see the return of one of his interesting gallopers on Saturday, who has now joined the Danny O'Brien stable. Of course, the news a few weeks ago was that he has sent over Inspirational Girl and Superstorm. Who knows? They may end up running in a Cox Plate, Inspirational Girl especially, but we haven't seen Superstorm for quite some time. And we'll get to see him back first up since he's run in the Golden Eagle last time. And it's always great to have a chat to Bob Peters. Good morning, Bob. Are you well?
Yes, thank you.
Enjoying your freedoms over in WA?
Yes, it's good to be here.
Speaking of that, are we likely to see your good mate Willie Pike return for spring? Is he planning? Are you happy to see him come back over to Melbourne for this spring carnival?
Yes, I don't think he'll be there much. He may come for some of the big ones, but it's a bit difficult at the moment, not knowing what's going on with the COVID situation.
Yeah, and is Superstorm and Inspirational Girl the only two in your colours we'll see over here this spring?
Yes, at this stage, there's nothing else that's looking like you're heading that way.
How do you think Superstorm's coming back? What are the reports from Danny O'Brien?
He's had a good preparation. He's come through trouble-free, and he had to recover from the Golden Eagle. It was a fairly hard run, that one, and the same with Inspirational Girl. It probably went one run too many with her last campaign, and she really felt her last run. So they both had good long spells, and they've had strange preparation because they were due to go over a lot earlier, but we couldn't fly. The planes weren't flying, and they had their retraining done here with Grant and Alana before they left.
So that reason for the time off, was that just purely to let him recover, or did he come out with a bit of an issue after the Golden Eagle?
He had a little chip. It's only small. I could have stayed there in the fetlock joint, but I decided to take it out, and he's had no trouble with that ever since. So that was something that came out of the Golden Eagle.
We know he's a high-class horse. What are you expecting first up in the Lawrence on Saturday?
Oh, well, as you know, he's as we said, he's had a long spell. He'll be a little bit rusty, I would think. There's horses in the race that have, had racing under their belt. So I'd just like to see him coming home really well, like he can do, and see that he's on track.
Well, the form he showed,
he can win.
Yeah. Well, the form he showed in an All-Star Mile would have him winning the Lawrence on Saturday. What's your ultimate aim if he does come back to his previous best this spring?
Oh, both of them will just travel along the normal paths. There's plenty of races there in the spring, and every race is a good race if you can win it.
Is he a miler, or could you get him out to 2,000?
I'm not sure yet. I think he's definitely a miler, and he could get out to 2,000. Who knows?
Inspirational Girl's the other one that we are yet to see. What's the debut date for Inspirational Girl this spring?
She should start in the Memsie, I think 28th of August.
She has impeccable form back home. Winner of the Railway, second in the Kingston Town. Is she your best horse at the moment, Bob?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I just have to wait to see how she comes back up again.
All reports that she is returning well?
Yes, she took a long time to mature, and she hasn't had a lot of racing, but I think she might be there now. So she looked the best she's ever looked when she left here, so we'll see how she goes.
Is the Cox Plate her target? You've spoken previously about that, how that's the race you'd love to win. Is she your best chance, do you think?
Well, either of them will head towards that, and we'll just see what happens.
Who rides these horses in the early part of their spring? Is that up to Danny or up to you?
No, well, that's up to me because, we've always sort of worked on what riders suit what horses, but at the moment, Damien Oliver's on Superstorm on Saturday, and hopefully, if he's available, Damien Lane will probably ride Inspirational Girl in the Memsie.
Okay, and then with Willie Pike, would you send him over to ride in a Caulfield or in a Cox Plate? Would that be how you'd play it with Willie?
Oh, well, it just depends on what's happening at the time. You can never make too many arrangements with the way that the world is at the moment. We'll just wait and see what happens as we get closer to those races.
Read an interesting article overnight, Bob, in the Australian Thoroughbred New Zealand, that website, that the discussion re the pattern, which is taking up a lot of, I suppose, space as far as breeders are concerned, and a lot of angst within the industry. And you were part of a revolution over in WA as an administrator in the 80s with new races and prize money. What's your thoughts on the pattern debate and the argument? Do we need a pattern? Is it irrelevant these days? Do you like these, for want of a better term, pop-up races that are proliferating in Sydney, which are clashing with the feature races in Melbourne? How do you see the overall landscape?
Well, I don't know what the fuss is all about. The pattern has proven over time. It's stood the test of time. It's a worldwide situation in racing. The new races are great for racing as well. It's fairly obvious that they can't become part of the pattern because they're restricted entry. But what can you tell me what the problem is?
Well, the problem is Racing New South Wales wants the Everest to be a Group 1. So I think there's a stalemate, because until the Everest gets Group 1 status, they're not willing to come to the party on other issues.
Well, it can't get Group 1 status because the slot holders pick what horse goes in it. So while you've got restricted entry, you're going to have a problem making it work as far as the pattern's concerned. But I think as far as breeding's concerned, if you had a mare that had won the Everest or a stallion that won the Everest, it would hold just as much sway in Australia as winning any other Group 1.
So you don't think an Everest or an All-Star Mile, those types of races, should have any group status associated with them?
Well, not at this stage. While you've got restricted entry, they've got a different situation altogether. You've got your restricted race, RLs, they're called, I think, restricted races with your Magic Millions and things like that. And I would think that these races fit into that sort of situation.
Mm. What do you think of the pattern as a whole, and the shape of the feature races around Australia, and New South Wales' proliferation of new races that may encroach in Victoria's carnival or other carnivals around the state and Australia?
Oh, I think they're very good for racing. All of these new races, they're great for everybody, and they create interest in the industry. It would just be nice if they could work some dates out where they didn't clash with other major races and it all worked out. But if they can't do that, well, so be it, and we live with it.
Mm. Do we need all the states to get together, or it doesn't really matter? Would it be better if we were more united?
I think that if a program that was more structured would help everybody, but if it can't be done, it can't be done. Racing's going very well, especially in Victoria and New South Wales. So I can't see why anybody's got anything to complain about if they're in those two states.
Well, there is no doubt the racing is going well, especially in the current COVID situations, re-prize money, but there is a lot of angst re these pop-up races and the pattern and other issues, especially surrounding Racing Australia at the moment. What's your viewpoint on Racing Australia?
Well, Racing Australia's got a job to do, and now that John Massara is there, I'm sure that it'll do its job.
Well, fingers crossed, because there's been very little action in the last 12 months. Got a couple of SMSs coming through here. What's happened to Regal Power? Is he still around at the moment, Bob?
Yes, he came back and he had a trial, and then that was enough for him to do at that time. He was just having a little campaign through the winter, and he's back at the farm now, and he'll go back into work shortly. And
Very Elegant's brother, an SMS asking, how is that horse progressing?
Yes, he went into work about a week or 10 days ago, and he hasn't trialled yet or anything. He's as you can see, he's a stayer, and he'll take a lot of time, so you probably won't see him around for a while.
What's his name?
Affluential. There's quite a few A's around the place.
Affluential.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, Bob, good luck on the weekend. Looking forward to seeing Superstorm back in action.
Oh, yeah, it'd be good to see him back there. Hopefully he can draw a barrier. He's been a bit unlucky with his barriers at Caulfield, so we'll see what happens this week.
Absolutely. Hopefully that final field for the PB Lawrence will be through